Hello, this is Ariadne Rainbird, and this is the first of a series of videos I'm making about Dionysos in the Orphic Hymns. I will be making a video analysing each of the Orphic hymns relevant to Dionysos, so watch this space for future videos. Orphism, or Orphismos, is an ancient Greek mystery cult which can be thought of as the religion of Dionysos, the god who is described as Soter, the saviour, and teacher of the mysteries, and who is arguably the most important god in relation to the human condition and liberation of the soul from the kyklos genesios, the endless cycle of rebirths. Although all of the gods are given due honour within Orphismos, Dionysos is central to the Orphic mysteries, with 8 of the 84 prayers which compose the Orphic hymns being dedicated to him in his various forms. A number of other hymns are dedicated to related deities such as Silenus, the foster father of Dionysos, Ipta, the satyrs, Leucothea and Palamon, all of whom are involved in the story of the birth of Dionysos to Semele, who of course also has a hymn within the collection. Dionysos' first birth to Persephone as Zagrevs is referred to both in hymn number 30 to Dionysos and in the hymn to Persephone, which immediately precedes the first hymn to Dionysos, and in which Persephone is described as mother of Evoulios, an epithet of Dionysos, and as the parent of the vine of course being the plant most commonly associated with Dionysos. The first of the Orphic hymns to Dionysos is hymn number 30, called simply To Dionysos, and is the most generalised hymn to the god, calling upon him in his totality rather than in a specific aspect. The hymn contains various epithets which give clues to who he is, how he is seen in Orphismos, and his various qualities. The hymn recommends an offering of incense of storax, styraka, to the god, thought to be the sweet resin of the shrub Styrax officinalis, also known as the snowdrop bush. The fragrant resin is obtained by wounding the stem and has been used medicinally as an expectorant and used in perfumes, incenses, and was used in the mummification process in ancient Egypt. The 1st century CE Roman writer Pliny the Elder, in his Historia Naturalis, says that storax was one of the ingredients of the royal unguent of the Persian kings. He also says that the incense smoke drives away venomous serpents. And so storax also has a protective quality. What is sold as storax today, however, generally comes from the Liquidambar orientalis tree or other species of Liquidambar tree, with Styrax officinalis being harder to find and often more expensive. Resins of other varieties of styrax, such as Styrax tonkinensis and Styrax benzoin, commonly known as benzoin gum, can often be more easily found and are more closely related to the original storax incense. Benzoin, also commonly known as gum benjamin, is a resin obtained from several trees of the genus Styrax and is commonly used as incense for religious purposes in many traditions across the world. And benzoin, as a form of storax, may be used as an offering to Dionysos in place of Styrax officinalis if you're unable to get Styrax officinalis. Storax has a sweet balsamic aroma and helps to create a sacred, transcendent and calming ambience. And it can help to form a connection between the earthly and divine realms. Storax is purifying, preserving, uplifting, and it is associated with kingship and royalty. And it is an incense which is recommended in a number of the hymns to the gods, but particularly to those gods associated with sovereignty, such as Zeus, his son Dionysos, his father Kronos, and queenly Demeter, and goddess Ipta. I will now recite Orphic hymn number 30 to Dionysos in ancient Greek, followed by the Thomas Taylor translation. Dionysu, Kyklisko Dionyson, Erivramon Evastira, Protogonon, Thiphi Trigonon, Vachion Anacta, Agrion, Ariton, Kriphion, Dikeirota, Thimophon,
Cysofrion, Tavrapon, Arion, Evion, Agnon, Omathion, Triiti, Votryphoron, Enesipeplon, Evulev, Polyvole, Theos, ke Persephonis, Aritis, Lectrisi, Technotheis, Amvrotedhaimon, Clifi Macaphonis, Idis the Pipnevzon a Memphis, Evmenes, Itor, Echon, Sin Epsenisi, Tithines. To Dionysos. Dionysos I call, loud-sounding and divine, fanatic god, a twofold shape is thine. Thy various names and attributes I sing, O firstborn, thrice begotten, Bacchic king. Rural, ineffable, two-formed, obscure, two-horned, with ivy-crowned, Evion pure, bull-faced and martial, bearer of the vine, endued with counsel, prudent and divine, triennial, whom leaves of vines adorn, of Zeus and Persephone occultly born. Immortal Daimon, hear my suppliant voice, give me in blameless plenty to rejoice, and listen gracious to my mystic prayer, surrounded with thy choir of nurses fair. Dionysos is described as loud-sounding in this translation, from the Greek eriphramos, the loud roarer, and as fanatic. This may refer to the ecstatic rites associated with Dionysos, the shouting of Evoe by his worshippers, and Dionysos intoxicated with the wine ether of Zeus, shouting in joy as he proclaims the mysteries. The wine ether refers to the spiritual energy which comes from Zeus through the mysteries as established by Dionysos, and which can transform us and enlighten us, bringing us closer to the gods and purifying the soul. The sweet, blood-red wine used in ritual as libations and consumed by the followers of Dionysos is symbolic of the ichor, the divine blood of the god. The cry of Evoe associated with the Bacchic mysteries has unknown etymology and origin, though may derive from eu, meaning good, and huos, meaning son, referring to Dionysos as Zeus' good son, or from eu and ionos, meaning good wine. The name Dionysos itself may also be connected with wine, from theos, the genitive form of Zeus, and oinos, or enos, thus meaning wine of Zeus, referring to how Dionysos is an embodiment of Zeus' divine power. The cries of Evoe, therefore, may be an embodiment of that power in the form of a word with meaning connected to the name of Dionysos. Alternatively, it may simply be a sound which does not have a direct translation, but is associated with the god and thought to embody his essence, much like a mantra in Eastern traditions. Similarly, the god Apollon is associated with the cry Ie, and it is possible that each of the gods had their own sacred syllable, word or sound within the mysteries, which is now lost to us. The cry is referred to in the descriptions of Dionysos as Evion, meaning crier of Evoe. Dionysos is then described as having a twofold shape, Thethei, literally having two natures, which could refer to him as appearing as both male and female, or as mortal and divine, the god who dies and is reborn, representing the death of the mortal nature and the rebirth into the divine. He is described as firstborn, referring to his form as Protogonos or Phanes, who in the Orphic cosmogony was the first god who hatched out of the Orphic egg created by Chronos, time, and Ananke, necessity. Dionysos is a progression of Phanes, being of his essence and fulfilling his potential. Dionysos is therefore both the father and the offspring of the gods, and is that divine force which has existed from the very beginning. Dionysos is described as being thrice begotten, referring to the Orphic myth whereby he was first conceived by Persephone as Zagreus, son of Zeus, who was dismembered by the Titans. His heart was, however, saved by Athena and subsequently made into a potion by Zeus, who gave it to Semele, mortal daughter of King Cadmus and goddess Harmonia, to drink, causing her to conceive and become pregnant with Dionysos. After Hera tricked Semele into asking Zeus to appear to her in his true form, Semele was burnt up by his divine fire, and in a sense became one with the divine child, thus being deified, who Zeus rescued and sewed up in his thigh until Dionysos was ready for birth, when he was born from the thigh of Zeus. Dionysos is also referred to in the hymn as Bacchion Anakta, Bacchic king, or Bacchic lord, one of his epithets being Bacchos, which relates to his more riotous, frenzied and frantic side, referring to a divine frenzy and inspired trance state. The epithet Bacchos gave rise to the Latin version of his name Bacchus, which was the more popular form of his name in the Roman Empire. Dionysos is described as rural, ineffable, in the original agrion, meaning wild, and eriton, meaning unable to be understood, unspoken or secret, and krithion, meaning concealed or hidden. This refers to Dionysos as the god of the mysteries. His true nature is hidden, as are the mysteries, and both he and the mysteries cannot be understood except by those who are pure of heart. Dionysos is a god who is often misunderstood by those who are unable to see his true nature. Dionysos is described as two-horned, the Keirota, referring to the horned animals he is associated with, the bull and the goat. But horns are also a symbol of power, and in the mystic sense may symbolise the divine ether of the gods flowing out from his head. He is also called bull-faced, in Greek tavropon, the bull being a powerful horned animal also associated with Zeus and Poseidon. He is crowned with ivy, a symbol of life, growth and endurance, and the spiral of the mysteries, as well as prophetic powers. Ivy is also a symbol of community, fellowship and joy, binding communities together and expressing the joyful and communal nature of the Bacchic cults, where all were considered equal in the mysteries. He is then referred to as martial, in the Greek Arion, meaning literally devoted to Ares, the god of war. In Orphismos, Ares is the god who helps us with all struggles and battles, including our own inner battles, giving us the strength to keep on fighting. Dionysos too can help us to overcome the obstacles to our spiritual progress and is devoted to assisting us with our inner battles. Dionysos is described as prudent, in Greek evulevs, and endued with counsel, literally exceedingly wise, Greek polyvoulos, showing another side of his nature as a god of wisdom who guides our paths. He is called triennial, in Greek trieti, which refers to the festivals to Dionysos which were held every 2 years. The ancient Greeks counted inclusively, so the festivals were said to take place in year 1 and year 3, with a year in between when the festival did not take place. Thus it was considered trieti. He is adorned with leaves of vine, in Greek enesipepplon, literally wrapped in foliage, and votryphoron, bearing grapes, symbolising both the fertility, richness and spiritual fulfilment which he represents and can bring us, and the ether of the gods which he offers to us. Dionysos is occultly born to Zeus and Persephone. In Greek, arites, unspoken, electrici, bed, and technotheos, begetting, meaning begotten of the unspoken bed, referring to the mysteries and the hieros gamos of Zeus and Persephone, which is a divine mystery, the coming together of heaven and earth, where Zeus mated with Persephone in the form of a serpent hidden in a secret cave. Persephone's name in the mysteries is said to derive from pyr, fire, and phonevo, kills or transforms, indicating that Persephone is the fire that transforms the soul. A gentler side of Dionysos is expressed towards the end of the hymn, where the Thomas Taylor translation gives us, "Hear my suppliant voice, give me in blameless plenty to rejoice, and listen gracious to my mystic prayer." In the Greek, the hymn says, "Kleiphi, listen, makar, happy, phonis, sound or voice," which may be translated as, "Listen, happy one, to my voice." Then, "Idhes, pleasant, their pipnevzon, divine inspiration, enis, gentle, which may be translated as sweet and gentle divine inspiration." Then evmenes, gracious or kind, itor, heart of desire, ichon, having or holding, which may be translated as having a kindly heart. So in this first hymn, we see Dionysos' dual nature and the many contrasts he represents. In the next video, we will look at the hymn number 42 to Misa, which looks at Dionysos in feminine form. If you have enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss the future videos in this series. Thank you for watching.